Welcome to the Ketchup. I'm Lucas Kitchen, filling in for Jimmy Fallon, whose lawyer has been trying to get in touch for some reason. Justin Bieber has been banned from doing tour dates in China because of his bad behavior. This isn't fair. America needs a ban list too. I mean, we've been trying to figure out for years what to do with Kesha, Kanye, and Nickelback. Now, China didn't specify which incident they were cutting off his allowance for, but could it have been that time he raced a car in Miami? Or when he threw eggs at a neighbor's house? Or maybe that time he peed into a restaurant mop bucket and weirdly cussed out Bill Clinton, who wasn't present or president at the time. Sure, Justin can be a bit of a brat sometimes, but China, don't you think you're being a little hypocritical here? Worrying that Justin Bieber is going to soil your moral purity is like Lil Wayne calling Taylor Swift a bad influence. Why do I say that? Well, let's just say if mass murder were a competitive sport, China would have a pretty packed trophy case. Songs like Baby and As Long As You Love Me are not allowed, but restricting free speech, denying freedom of religion, and the organ harvesting of tens of thousands of prison inmates, all welcome in China. China banning Justin for his mop bucket pee-pee or any bad behavior is about as hypocritical as O.J. Simpson becoming an anger management counselor. Although it's unknown how it relates, Justin's people have announced that he is abruptly ending his world tour, which still had a number of dates in Asia. Unforeseen circumstances are to blame. My guess, the Clintons got wind that he cussed out Slick Willie and they want to have a word with him. Netflix experienced better than expected growth in subscriptions this quarter. They reportedly spend $6 billion a year in acquiring and producing content. So the question is, how many billions will they have to spend before you don't have to spend all night browsing endless, uninteresting options only to wind up watching Nacho Libre once again? Seriously though, it's funny. Even if they spent all $6 billion on Nacho, I think it might still be worth it. The US government is putting into effect a ban on Americans traveling to North Korea. Do we really need this ban? It's about as useful as a no swimming sign on Uncle Bubba's open septic tank. This ban comes as a true disappointment to the tens of people who had sort of thought of maybe one day possibly thinking about potentially considering the option of a visit. Something to consider for those who have a list of places to visit before you die. You may want to put North Korea right at the end of the trip, if you catch my drift. A new intensive research study at the University of Cleburne, helmed by Dr. Englund Rosenberg, has conclusively proven, with the highest level of scientific certainty, that man buns are dumb. Okay, that's not exactly true. Well, actually, none of it is, but I'm begging you scientists out there, somebody, please, 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 find a way to do this study before it's too late. ISIS has been beaten out of its stronghold in Mosul recently. You know they were beaten bad because these ultra-misogynistic, anti-feminist, sexist, chauvinist, women-torturing jihadist misanthropes have been caught fleeing dressed as women. Now we know why they like their women to wear full body coverings. No, Asira, all women must wear burqa, so that if caliphate doesn't work out, we can pretend to be you as we skip town. I mean, who's marrying these turd jugglers anyway? What's interesting about the situation is that despite head coverings, they also felt the need to get full makeovers, with hair and makeup included. I can just see them at the beauty parlor before they skip town. Are you sure, Ahmed? I was pretty sure you beheaded a guy for dressing like this just last week. Wow, guys. I mean, is this really how you think women look underneath those burqas? NASA released close-up images of Jupiter from its Juno mission recently, and they're amazing. Since the Juno mission cost taxpayers about $1.1 billion, let me show you the photos you bought. Wow. Astounding. Fantastic. Oh, I always wondered why the other side of the Earth was so dark. In reality, this is an artist rendering to show us how huge Jupiter is, and it works. But man, it's creepier than a one-on-one lunch appointment with Stephen King. It makes me wonder why we needed a $1.1 billion multi-year mission to take these snapshots when the most interesting photo of the batch was done in Billy's mom's basement with a pirated copy of Photoshop in about 2.5 minutes. In all seriousness, I really do feel inspired by these photos, thinking about the awesomeness of God's creation. The mission has many more years to go, and I look forward to seeing what else they come up with. And now for this week's top 5 falsehoods and fake news of the interwebs. Number 1. Supposedly, Charles Manson has been granted parole and will soon be released from prison? The story claims that he is getting out due to the prison being overcrowded. Sheesh, can you imagine what kind of other prisoners that penal facility must be bursting with if Charles Manson is at the top of the "let's let him out" list? What kind of proto-sapient man-beasts are they housing in there? In reality, Manson is staying. The story is fake. The swastika on his forehead, however, is not. Number 2. Supposedly, the body of Bigfoot has been found and confirmed at Elephant Butt Lake. Supposedly, this image is the confirmation. This one is ridiculous sounding. Elephant Butt Lake? You'd think they'd come up with something that's a little more credible sounding. Except that's not the fake part. I'm told there really is an Elephant Butt Lake. I'd like to meet the naming committee who voted that one in. We could call it Kennebec, which is a Native American word for long place of water. Or we could call it Sequana, which is a Native American word for pure waters. Or we could call it Elephant Butt. Okay, Todd, I like where you're going with this. Actually, Bigfoot is the fake part of this story. If you do a reverse image search, you will find that this is not really an image of Bigfoot, but instead a dead body that's been covered up while a family plays frisbee in the background somewhere in Russia. Wait, what? That's even more frightening than the fake story. Hey, Ma, there's a dead body over here. No problem. How about a game of Ultimate? Sure. Man, Russia must have a real problem with fake news because everything that comes out of there sounds made up. Number 3. Supposedly, Hobby Lobby is closing all of its stores in protest of a federal contraception mandate. This is actually an old rumor that's been debunked many times over. However, it resurfaced after Hobby Lobby got fined $1.3 million for purchasing ancient artifacts from Iraq that were mislabeled. These artifacts were mostly clay tablets with ancient cuneiform writing. Once again, the actual story seems stranger than the fake one. Hobby Lobby's administration is known for buying and preserving rare historical Bible artifacts. Fortunately for my wife, and unfortunately for me and my Saturday afternoon, they are not closing down any Hobby Lobbies. Number 4. Supposedly, the body of a homeless man found in San Diego has been identified as that of Elvis Presley. I don't see why this one got such traction, considering that at any given moment, there is a homeless man somewhere in the States claiming to be Elvis, most of which are performers on the Las Vegas Strip. This story is false. Number 5. Supposedly, Mike Pence said, "We don't need more health care, we need Jesus care." Most conservative evangelicals had no problem with the statement and, in fact, liked the sound of it. After all, it's gotta be cheaper than what we're currently paying for. Supposedly, Vice President Mike Pence proposed the idea that Christians simply rely on fervent prayer and miraculous healings for their healthcare option. Except he didn't. I sniffed this one out on my own, because Pence just doesn't strike me as a charismatic. He looks more like a non-denominational Reformed evangelical with a dash of former Irish Catholic, but that's just my first sniff. I don't know. Not because it's big news, but because it's big to me. In a video released recently, Jim Carrey, international superstar comedian and actor, spoke of the Lord, and not by taking his name in vain. Jim Carrey gave a Christ-centered talk in which he explained his take on the plan of salvation. Here's what he said.
ultimately, I believe that suffering leads to salvation. And in fact, it's the only way. We either decide to go through the gate of resentment, or we go through the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace. You made the decision to walk through the gate of forgiveness to grace, just as Christ did on the cross. He suffered terribly, and he was broken by it to the point of doubt and a feeling of absolute abandonment, which all of you felt. And then there was a decision to be made. And the decision was to look upon the people who were causing that suffering, or the situation that was causing that suffering, with compassion and with forgiveness. And that's what opens the gates of heaven for all of us.
His sermon wasn't exactly orthodox, but I like it a lot. Jim made this claim: suffering leads to salvation. There is some truth in this statement. Jesus suffered for us so that we could have salvation. But it seems that Jim means something a little bit more personal. He goes on to say that forgiving and letting go of resentment is what opens the gates of heaven to us. You know, I think it's worth looking at what the Bible says about salvation. John 3:16 and many other verses in the Gospel of John say that our salvation comes by believing. That's faith in Jesus. When you believe in Jesus for everlasting life, you have it forever. After that point, after someone becomes a saved believer, is where Jim's words fit in really well. Letting go of resentment and forgiving those around us is a way to have salvation from a damaged life. The person who believes in Jesus is already saved eternally, but there is still a lot of mess and damage caused by sin, which forgiveness can begin to resolve. Seems like Jim's view of salvation leans a lot more toward working on interpersonal issues than it does one's faith in Christ, but it's still exciting to think that he's considering these types of ideas. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. I hope we hear more from him on this subject. For the hours of entertainment and inspiration, I'd like to say thanks to Jim Carrey. May you find that salvation that you spoke of, my friend. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please share this video if you liked it. Subscribe to and follow us on social media, or else my self-image will probably disintegrate. You can see past episodes on our website, theketchup.show. If you like what we're doing, you can become a supporter through Patreon. Just follow the link on the screen. If you'd like to hear more about the whole Jesus thing, I'd love to talk to you about that. Send me a message. In case I don't see you, good morning, good evening, and good night.